Welcome to For the Record, an unfiltered view on current trends and timeless advice for surviving in the aesthetics industry. Whether you're an injector, practice owner, sales rep, or marketer, it's time to set the record straight. Each week we cut through the chaos and showcase diverse perspectives and winning ideas from the best minds in the industry. I'm your host, Dr. Tiffany Hall, Chief Growth Officer at Aesthetic Record. Now, let's get started on this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another For the Record, and we are here at our brand new studio in our new office in Irving, Texas, and we have with us another fellow Texas girl. We have the Barbie. We have with us today Dana Herbertson, who really is a living Barbie, looks like one for sure. She is the owner of the Derm Lounge Med Spa in the lovely Preston Hollow area of Dallas. She is a KOL for Tuscany, for Cherry Bomb, Beauty Bomb. She's also got a gorgeous practice that is an old bank, and so it's a vault in it. It's just so cool. It is a lovely place to go. I go there quite a bit to have my wrinkles relaxed. But she has been in this industry for a long time and has done some really remarkable things and some really cool new therapies that she's working on. And just an all-around awesome person who we love dearly. And she's so precious and so sweet. And running a killer business in the middle of a shitty economy. When the world's going to hell in a handbasket, Dana is surviving. So she's here today to talk to us about what she's doing in her practice, her skills, the things she's building, and really just all around life as an aesthetics diva and a true Barbie. So Dana, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad that you're here. And I meant that you are like the picture of perfect. I met you, well, I knew who you were, but I really met you 2 years ago at a Kentucky Derby party, and you had this gorgeous hat on, and I thought, who is this diva? You had won Best Injectors for, I don't know, it was like your third year to have won it. You win it every year. And I was like, who is this person? She's like a living doll. And it turns out you really were. But you were gorgeous. And then I met you and you were like even sweeter.
Thank you.
It's been a great time to get to know you. And you're here in Dallas, which we love. So that brings me to, give us an idea of your background, because you've got a very colorful surgery background. How'd you end up here?
So I ended up here. I was a surgical first assist for a plastic surgeon in Boca Raton, Florida. And then I was with him for a few years, and then I moved to Dallas about, almost 20 years ago. I started working for a plastic surgeon here by the name of Fred Hackney. I was a surgical first assist up until about 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, when I left him and opened my own practice. He then passed away. But I was in the OR most days, and I just wanted to not operate like 5 days a week. I wanted to inject. He wanted me in the operating room. I wanted to inject, and we used to fight about it all the time. And so the only way I could inject was to go on my own and do my own thing. So then my husband had an opportunity after we got married. He's like, I have a little bit of money to invest. Do you want to open up a med spa? And I said, okay, sounds like a great idea. And I opened up on Park Lane. There was a little 3-bedroom suite. It was about 900 square feet. And I pretty much ran the whole thing by myself. I answered the phones. I, ran the business. I called people late at night back. I was exhausted. My son would come in on the weekends and help me on Saturdays. And then he ended up homeschooling, so he would help me all day long. Then he was answering the phones, and then got really busy and just built my practice here. I had a lot of patients from back in the day who were coming in who had found me from Fred Hackney's office. And just started building up my personal space of patients. And then when that took off, I started getting into trainings. And then from there, I decided 5 years later, I couldn't do it in this little 900 square foot space anymore. I had other staff with me. And went and built this 3,000 square foot office, and with 6 exam rooms, and you've seen it.
It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And it's you as an office.
The vault is actually my son's office, and he loves it because he's like kind of secluded from all the girls. There's women, and then there's my son that works there. And so that's where I started.
Well, and I love that you're a family. Like, you truly are the matriarch of your business, because you have your son works there, your daughter works there, you have your little puppy there all the time.
Yes.
Your front desk person feels like she is part of the family as well. It's a very familial place. I think that's hard. People who work with their spouses can tell you for sure that's hard. But I think having your children there must be both fulfilling and also a little different. We have here at AR, we've got a mother and 2 daughters, and it's like,
yes,
they call their mom by her first name, which has to be a little bit weird. But how does that work? Because I do think, first of all, your kids are precious. Aidan's amazing, and great tattoo artist as well, has his own client base. But how does that come to be where you can manage your children?
So they manage me.
I figured that was probably the case.
Yeah,
but
I don't manage them. They used to call me mom when they were younger, and then in the work environment, they started saying Dana. So they don't call me mom, they call me Dana, and when they're really mad at me, then it's mom. But when I walk in, Aidan is literally like an airline director. He's like, you go here, because I just want to go and sit down and talk to everybody and just kind of chit chat. He's like, no, in the room, here you go, your day is packed. So he directs me all day long. And Paige, who has her master's degree in animal science and ag education, decided she was going to come and run the practice. She was happier doing that. So she's also runs the social media. I'm bad at social media. If I go on there and play with it, I get yelled at for that too. So they're better in their positions. I'm better in my positions.
I love that though. But I do think it's interesting. On the podcast, I've said many times, I love an MA. I think you have to have another set of hands. And I've been to your practice many times. I'm wrinkle-free because of you. Thank you, Jesus. But Aidan comes in and does all the pre-work. He confirms what you need. He has everything ready to go and drawn up. You come in and confirm that, yes, that's what I want, and let's do this instead. And it's kind of all done for you. And so just looking at your practice from the outside in, because you are but one person, but you're able to do so much more stuff because somebody is kind of working with you all day long and following you around and making sure that you have what you need when you need it, and then when you're done, it's cleaned up.
Yep.
Like, how does that change your practice as trying to be both the boss, the owner, the injector, all the things?
Okay. It makes me run it more efficiently. I can't do everything. When I was doing everything, it was just taking me so much time, and I was trying to get patients in, and I couldn't do it physically, mentally. I was exhausted. So with having him do it, he is, again, like my little director. And I have 2 assistants now. I hired another one, and she just has it down too. She came from another really well-established clinic, so she was trained already. And when we manage room to room, I have 6 rooms, so we have patients numbing one room, and we wear little headsets, and we kind of talk to them all day long, and they just tell me where to go, what to do, and I just listen to them through the headset and follow their direction. But he's even seen all the GLP-1 patients for me, like through the journey, and he knows their whole story, what they're on, what maintenance, how to get them to their goals, and we communicate all day long with the GLP-1 patients just to make sure their journey is right. And Aidan just gets it. He's just so knowledgeable, and he gets it. He listens, and he goes to the Sec Next with me. He goes to all these conferences, and he pays attention.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, when I was there recently, he was like, okay, we did this last time. He had everything all buttoned up and ready to go. But I think about that because people really push back about, I have to pay for that person, they're not producing revenue. I'm like, but you're producing so much more revenue because they're doing all of that.
Yes.
And I look at him and I watch your practice, and with the headsets and all these things to be efficient, to scale, you have to do those kinds of things. And people get really nervous about that. So at what point are you like, you know what, the money I'm going to make beats what I'm going to be spending. This has to be done.
It's so hard because I go in and I don't, they're thinking of the money. I'm not thinking of the money. I'm thinking about the patient results, patient satisfaction. I love what I do. And when I do it with a smile. My kids laugh at me when they're videoing me. They're like, Mom, you're always smiling when you're injecting or doing lasers or whatever it is I'm doing, because I love it and I have that passion. So for me, I'm bad. I'm not a numbers girl. So going into it, I'm thinking I just want my patients to be happy, but I'm not rushing through the patients. They have it where I'm not going in and you feel like you're in and out of a factory. So I don't want to run that type of business. So they have everything timed for me. Where, okay, this person's going to numb for 30 minutes. Mom, you can go in this room for this many minutes, and I take longer, and they're on the headset, like I can hear them. And I'm like, sorry, I'm not done with this patient. So,
but I think it brings me to my next question, thinking through that process, because it is very much it's a relaxed environment. You can tell that it's a tightly run ship. Don't get me wrong, but you are relaxed when you're there. Is right now the economy, as you know, it stinks.
Down.
I was listening to our PMD webinar last night, and Phil's talking about the jobs report's terrible. Everyone has high credit card debt. Unemployment's off. Just the world's going to hell in a handbasket, basically. And you're managing to still thrive. And I think we're seeing a lot of med spas that are closing, or they're collapsing into other groups, or they're saying, I can't do this. I'm taking another, a PRN job at the hospital too to keep my business going. How are you doing it? Is it because you're able to spend time and you're able to build relationships? What does that retention look like? Because I feel like you guys are always a shining star on the hill. And you're surviving and thriving despite all the chaos. So what's built that business for you?
Well, we are surviving right now, but we're also thriving a little bit. The market is down. Our industry is down 17 to 20%. Master Injectors was just here this past weekend, and Paige went to one of their courses during the day, and it was the business side, and we're all down. Even the best of the best are down.
Yeah, it's just
it just is what it is. It's reality. But I've been here before and I've seen it. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I've seen the crashes, and you just have to push through them. I've had a very busy week coming out of, not being there for a few weeks. I was, had to take some time off. Had surgery, but I'm back working and now, back to schedule. But I think that just having that relationship with your patients and being just really true about what you do in the practice and how loyal you are, it's going to drive them back in. So they're not going to be gone forever. They're going to come back. They're going to love you for what you do and who you are.
What is interesting too, it's almost this, it doesn't make sense, like a paradox where you think in times like this, folks are looking for a discount, right? Like, I want to go to the cheapest place. But they're also saying, because I only have this amount of money, I want to go where I know I'm going to get what I want and I'm going to get the right results. I'm going to go to my girl, Dana, who always does a great job. It's like, it doesn't make any sense because you don't know which one to be. Should you be offering things and promotions, or should you really lean into the fact that you always have great results, that they're going to come to you because they do have limited funds? Yeah. I don't know I think the answer is definitely more the second, but I think people are really caught in the middle of like, do I just cut my prices and hope they come in, or do I just lean in more to my patients?
Yeah, we go back and forth with this, and my daughter is the one who plays with everything, and she's like, let's try the specials and see if they work, and let's try not and see if they come in. And we found you get people who only come on the specials, and you get people who will just come to you for you. And you get people who come to you but wait for the specials, and they'll wait and wait and wait and wait until that one special comes out. But not everybody does, and you have people who just, they don't care, they just want the best result. But I have my patients, they're there every month. Most patients are there pretty much monthly because of the skincare regimen I put them on. It's not just about the fillers, the Botox. It's about everything from inside and out. So that's such a big deal with your patients, because the patient retention, not only are they coming every month, they are also thinking about, hey, what is, this is happening, now this is happening. And they're seeing different things at different intervals of their aging process. So we're able to walk them through that and fix it.
We're getting old. I'm getting old. I'm just saying, I haven't been able to walk in a week because I got out of bed the wrong way. Who knows? 42 is tough. But I think part of your, I don't know if it's your bright light or the aura that you kind of come to the table with, is that you are into all these like wellness, regenerative things. You're doing so much more with bioregenerative medicine than I think the average Joe. But thinking through that before you even get there, looking at your practice, I think part of your mystique is that you win a ton of awards. Like, if you go into her practice, she has all of her magazine clippings everywhere that you're named to all the Dynamic Women in Dallas list. You're on all these magazine covers. You're doing the top 100 list. You're KOL. How much of that helps build your business? Because I think people underestimate the marketing and PR. When you win things or your name is on something and someone Googles you and they see all these things that pop up with your name, it's like, oh, then she must be really good. Like, it's instant credibility, whether it is or isn't. Yes. It's instant credibility for you. So how much of that do you kind of lean into? And I wouldn't say try to win, that's not the right word, but that you care about really being involved in, so that it helps build your business?
I think it's helped with the fact that they look at me and my background, and they know where I came from, and they know I come from plastic surgery. And I did cooperate with surgeons, and I did soap all the patients, and I saw them through their post-care. So like, wow, she really knows about anatomy. So with that and coming in and, okay, well, she's won these awards, but how has she won these awards? So I didn't realize people were ChatGPTing me. And one lady, when I was talking to her about their year-long regimen of what they're going to do, she's like, is she just a salesperson? I'm the worst salesperson ever. But she was like, okay, well, I really thought you were full of it, and I thought you were just trying to make a sale. And then I realized, oh wow, no, you really have this extensive background on not just Botox, but skin, longevity, everything you're doing just kind of makes sense up in one little bubble, and made me feel good that somebody ChatGPT'd me. Then I ChatGPT'd myself right after that, and I was like, oh, okay.
But I've done it myself too. I was like, oh, I don't know. Am I really that
I was
person?
afraid.
I was a little too brazen on mine, but I think it is a great point of, you can win the things, you can be in social media, you can have all the followers, but if somebody comes into practice and you don't deliver what they think you should deliver, it's sort of not only is it a letdown for them, but then they tell their friends it's a letdown too. I think there's almost a higher stakes or higher risk if you do have these kind of accolades, that you've got to be really, really good, because if you're not, then it's almost like, well, she bought that award. You hear that a lot. She bought that, or she bought this. It's like, maybe let's go check it out. So I think that there is a higher stakes. But to that point, you mentioned surgery. You've been in the OR for a couple of years.
Lots of years.
Just a few years.
Lots of years.
Which gives you much perspective on what's happening under the tissue. I think we look at people who are coming into this as an RN who have had no experience with surgery. It's a different world, as you know. And I think because of that, you've done some really cool things that you're positioned for uniquely, i.e. threads. You're a thread queen, which is a hot topic, Dana. Everyone's talking about threads. All the surgeons are fighting about it. Scott Callahan's fighting about it. Everyone's fighting about it. And I know that he just launched his company, Beauty Bomb, and you're KOL for those guys. But give us the thread lowdown. How come you're so good at it? Why do you love it so much?
I think I'm good at it because I did suture. I was in the OR first, and that was what I'm the skin seamstress. So threads make sense to me. I know you have to know anatomy from inside and out. And if you're going to do threads, my advice is do cadaver courses. Cadaver courses are so important because if you're not in the OR and you're not doing facelifts and seeing the anatomy, how are you going to know the planes to put things in? There's ultrasound, there's things you can see, but you don't really know until you know. So you have to get under the layers of the skin. You have to look at the muscles. You have to see where vessels are, where nerves are, and you have to make sure that you don't get deep into a muscle. You're not disturbing a nerve, a facial nerve that can give you paralysis. So it's really important to know that part with threads. And so I think I just got it and it made sense. And then I went into deep diving where it was some plastic surgeons were saying, well, we can't do a facelift if you do threads or Sculptra. Well, I used to sew patients up and open them back up and sew them back up again, and I had no problems with that. So yes, you can, and there's a lot of new plastic surgeons and older plastic surgeons who have done the research. Yeah. And people like Gary Modicke, he's out there, Duber, they all do threads, their nurses do threads, and they're doing facelifts, and there's no problems with it. So.
We actually had Mark and Carrie on. They're going to be our season finale
this love Mark
season.
And Carrie.
And Mark is like, I don't care what they have in their face. I'm a surgeon. I'll figure it out.
Do it.
Because we were having a discussion about AEST and Sculptra. He's like, I don't care. That's not a problem until I open them up unless it's in the way, and I'll just move it out of the way. But I think it is interesting because you have a surgical background. I've watched recently Sarah O.
Yes.
do threads at an event, and watching her do it, it's like art. It's like watching it's like a symphony. I've seen some really bad thread work, and I think because it is so polarizing, if you're great at it, you're great at it. And if you're not, it's really tragic. So what is the path for someone who's like, I want to do threads, but I just can't figure it out. I can't get the hand-mind connection, or it just doesn't make sense to me. What do they do?
So with threads, it has a really bad rap because there's so many complications. And the reasons why that there are complications with threads is because, remember, it's a kind of like an implant, but it's dissolvable. It's put under your skin. It's put in your tissues. And if you have any bacteria in it, you're going to grow bacteria, you're going to end up with infection. That's the scary part about it. So I do threads a little different. I do them completely sterile, like I'm in the operating room. I think you've seen me at Aesthetic Next. I've done 2 trainings already, and I do it completely sterile. I have sterile gloves. My staff is sterile. My assistants do it with me. Aidan has it down. I think we need to train a different way with threads. So if we can do it in teach people the sterile way of doing it, that when patients go on and they're Googling threads, the first thing they're, I've seen it, I know it happens, I've watched it, there's horror stories, like this is why there's horror stories, just trust me, please. And my infection rate is, the one time I had an infection, the patient knew it. She actually took I have steri strips that stay on there for a week. They can't take them off. I have to take them off. She took it off. She put a dirty makeup brush that she's never washed and wanted to do her makeup, and bacteria. She ended up with cellulitis. We got it under control. She ended up fine. I didn't have to take the thread out. There was no more infection. We cleared it up. But that was the one time. So now I scare my patients. I show them the pictures. This is what this one patient do. This is what can happen if you don't listen to me. But if you listen to me, this is not going to happen. We're going to be fine.
Well, I think you can kind of fake your way through filler. I think you can be subpar at filler and deliver an okay result. You may not have a phenomenal lip or cheek, but you won't screw anything up. Like, it may not be the best cheek ever, but I don't have like a weird lumpy bumpy, or I didn't hit a vessel, or you can kind of
solve it too.
You can go in the dark and kind of with threads. There is no wiggle room for that. I have seen the draping. We had patients several years ago before you and Scott were involved. We had a thread course here, and a patient couldn't chew for like 3 weeks, and she had some significant issues. Had to go to a surgeon to have him look at it. Wrong plane, just a lot of problems. And it's because the people who were doing it were obviously training, learning, and they were kind of wild, wild west. And I watched that and thought, I'll never do it again. Like, I'll never let threads ever come to AN. And then I talked to Scott, and he was like, no. What you've seen is not real. Yes. Come to my clinic. So I went to his clinic, and he said, this is how you do it. And I'm like, oh, this is a whole different experience. But it was such a good picture for me of like when you are not good at it versus when you are good at it. It is like, it couldn't be more different. Where I think filler, you don't know when someone's doing filler that they're good or bad until you see the patient's face. Threads, you can instantly tell that it either is good or not good. So I think people get really nervous about it, and they kind of sort of want to part-time it, and you can't. You either got to figure it out or don't do it.
Yeah, and you have to know, like if you get a little pucker, there's ways you can pop it out. You can take a sterile cannula. You could release it. There's things you can do if the patient gets freaked out over something, or you're like, okay, I have this one little thing. It's fixable. You just have to know how to fix it. And that's where the training comes in.
When you do a lot of eyebrows, I think, I hear.
I do a lot of
I need to get enough of bleph, and I'm trying to not do it. And so I'm going to come to Dana and get my eyebrows done. That, to me, right now, it was the summer of the bleph. Everyone has said it's been the summer of the bleph.
Yes.
Kay Dre Rogers was like, everyone's doing a bleph this summer. But a bleph is expensive, and it does have downtime. What's the brow option for that instead?
So there comes a time where you do need a bleph. I had a bleph last year, but I'm due for threads now. But I like to pick, a lot of it is brow ptosis. So when you have brow ptosis and you lift your brow up, you're going to lift your eyelid skin up. So if you just have a little ptosis in your eye and you don't have a lot of ptosis, you can put threads in and get rid of the ptosis. And then a lot of times, especially laterally, because we have that hooding on the side, we hate that hooding. If I just pop a few threads in, it just lifts it up, gives it that nice pretty fox eye, and you're good for, depending on the laxity, 6, 9, 12 months. And you're building collagen while while the threads are healing.
And this is the area that I hear most often about. My toxin's not working anymore. Because toxin can't do that.
Yeah.
We can talk about,
Yes.
the elevation and the depression of the muscle. At the end of the day, to lift a brow, that's a pretty significant part of the anatomy to lift up. You got to have a little bit of help. And so I think this is an area where if you're looking at your injector, your skill set as an injector patients are saying, I'm not doing enough, you got to move on to a more intense modality.
I think the biggest problem I have with patients, it's not a problem, but they have a misconception because of social media that I'm going to get a brow lift with neurotoxin.
I wish.
Okay, well, think about it. Neurotoxin goes into the muscle. Skin, it doesn't go into the skin. It's a different part of the anatomy. I wish too, because if I can figure that out, I'd be in the
Call me.
But, with neurotoxin. But like,
age
well, I can get a
backward.
brow lift. It's like, it's kind of an optical illusion when you're moving muscles. That to me is an optical illusion that you can get when you're in the mirror and you're looking in the mirror and you're raising your eyebrows. That's what we want to see that. And when neurotoxin kicks in, we can't raise our eyebrows because the muscle's not working. But we don't want the little Wi-Fi's. Then we have to have a brow, just a brow lift.
What I
You
think
can
there's
do the brow lift
ways
with threads.
you could look at your practice and say, I'm not ready to do the full thing, but I might want to really learn that, or really learn
Yes.
some part of it. Where if you're queasy about thinking through the whole thing, go work with a KOL, with an injector who does this every day, all day, and learn parts and pieces of it. And then I think as you get more comfortable, it's like you guys do all these crazy reverse vectors and this crisscross lattice applesauce. I'm like, what are you doing? It's because you know
We get fun with it. Yeah, we have fun with it.
You know how
We
it all
play.
works so well that you can get really creative. And I think until you feel comfortable, it's just like a filler too. You're never going to do all these crazy things until you really feel like you have a good skill set. So I think that but they see that and think they should be able to do that on day one. It's like when you go to a new injector training, it's like, let's do tear troughs. Like you've injected for 26 minutes. We're not ready for tear troughs yet. Temples are not going to be next week, okay? I feel like threads are very similar. It's like, I want to be great because I'm a great injector. I should be great at this because I just showed up. It's like, it's just not that way.
No. And my staff knows when a patient calls me and when they call the front desk and they say, I'm coming in for my nasal labial folds, the first thing my staff says, she's not going to be putting filler in your nasal labial fold. She's going to be lifting it away. I say no more to filler than I say yes to filler. So I will try to use biostimulators as much as I can first. So Sculptra, hyperdilute radius, threads, before I will go to fillers. Fillers only when needed.
Well, it's so funny you say that because I used to have a face full of filler, like a lot of it. I would do 13, 16, whatever cc's in a visit. I've not had any filler in my face in so long. A lot of Sculptra.
Yep.
And I feel like I look younger now, having dissolved all of it out. I mean, certainly like right now I'm tired and I've slept, 60 minutes in the past 2 days, but I digress. But I do think that we're looking at this reverse aging. People who've been such a filler face now look at the conference this year like they look younger and better.
Everybody does.
Because they don't have the shelf cheek or the like overly the jaws like cut glass, but it's too much. It doesn't even look natural. People are looking better because they do have more of like a little heart-shaped face or just less sharp angles. I feel like this year, for the first time ever at Aesthetic Next, people look normal. Like everyone looked normal.
Everybody was
I was so
beautiful
happy.
this year at the Nexties.
It was
I mean,
gorgeous.
you look around, it was just natural beauty, and nobody's overdoing themselves anymore to get that way. You don't have to put like 10 pounds of makeup on. The filters on Instagram, we're looking kind of normal now. We're not looking so. Yes, exactly. So I was so impressed this year. Not just when I was impressed with Aesthetic Next, just in general, but then going in and seeing how beautiful everybody is.
Because every year it's almost like we're gawking at people like, oh, have you seen her? Oh, did you see her? This year I was like, oh, did you see her? Like it just felt different. But I think
sometimes you have to do a double take. You're like, is that so and so? Like,
well, and we get their
headshots,
headshots, and we're like, wait, is that can't be her? But that headshot was at least 15 years ago. But I do think this year we focused a lot on regenerative medicine. We talked a lot about biostimulators, about polynucleotides, polynutrients in general. Big focus of the industry. You are leading some charges there with hair. You're doing some crazy cool stuff.
Yes.
Give us some info about what you're doing with the mesotherapy and that whole. It's a different world for me.
It's a totally different world. So with mesoneedling, using all these different cocktails like PDRN and polymicronutrients, what I'm doing is I'm going into kind of not the deep dermis, but the epidermis. I don't want to cause bleeding. I want to push the products in. So old microneedling, get all the bleeding. We want a lot of bleeding. That's going to give you the best benefit. No, actually, I can't derive these polymicronutrients and the PDRN if we are getting blood return. So we don't have to go that deep anymore. We can go 0.25 up to like 1.5 and knock it, depending on the thickness of skin. We're basically telling our cells to wake up again. We want our cells to start producing collagen, elastin, fibrin. We want those cells to just go from being handicapped to, hey, I feel great. I don't, I get rid of the defibrillator, get rid of everything. Like I'm working again. I'm happy. I'm young, just like us. We're feeling younger. Like I'm 52 years old, and I feel, like I'm 25 years old again. Where 10 years ago I didn't feel this good, but I'm into all these other things, like peptides. But with the skin, it's repairing it from the outside in, inside out. So even doing things like smooth threads, mesoneedling, microneedling, deriving these things into the skin, we're reversing the skin's aging process. We're making it thicker. And if you're doing it with Sculptra, different types of biostimulators, you're getting a better result. Now with the mesoneedling, which I use a lot of Tuscany products, they are amazing. I do it with hair, skin, body. If you're doing those on a monthly basis, it's keeping the cells going. So we're taking the collagen and we're making it kind of, if we're slowing down, we're speeding it back up. So if it's dead, we're waking it back up and we're producing again. So we're producing a lot of it. And the more you do it, the more you're going to produce. So we do packages for our patients like every month. We do 5 packages, like a package of 5, and they come in monthly. And then I want them to do like a deeper laser. And then they're doing 5, and then I want them to do a deeper laser. So that, like a halo. And that's how they're keeping their skin, their cells regenerating and reversed. So using the PDRN, the polymicronutrients with it, is a big beneficial factor. And then also when we're using smooth threads, I'm placing them under the skin, that's taking the collagen, it's stimulating, it's working. And I'm doing that with hair as well. So I'll take I'll take mono threads, smooth, I'll put them in the hairline and in the back of the head, and I'll just kind of pop them in, and I'll mesoneedle them first, then pop the smooth threads in. I'm using different cocktails for the hair, like PDRN hair cocktails from Tuscany, and it's stimulating the hair growth. And if they're doing that every 4 to 5 weeks, they're getting a bunch of new hair. The gray hair is now becoming darker because your melanocytes that are sitting there are kind of waking up. They were dormant and they're happy again and they're coming out. And so we're getting darker hair, we're getting more hair, and then I put them on things like Nutrafil or Minoxidil, and they're thriving.
And I've seen these results. We were at dinner one night and you showed me your hair results. And I was like, holy cow, it's like having a hair transplant.
He was a case study, and he had several hair transplants gone wrong. And I was like, let me take you on as a case study. An anesthesiologist referred him to me. And I didn't think I could do it. I was doubting myself. And I needed this published. I'm like, this is the one thing I want to get published. I want to get it done. And I did. So I worked so hard on him. I go, we're going to be best friends for a long time. And I did it pro bono. And that man cried when he went on a date, and he wasn't embarrassed anymore. Like he sat in my chair and cried. He was so happy.
Well, I've never seen a hair transplant that worked long term.
No, you have to keep stimulating.
You have to do, and I think that's, I read an article last night about men are becoming more aesthetics focused because of hair. Just because as women are looking younger and younger, the men are not looking younger and younger, and so the disconnect is becoming even greater than it used to. Because used to they would look young, we look old. Now we look great forever. But they were discussing that hair is a big issue because you get a hair transplant, you go to Turkey, you go to Colombia, wherever you go.
Turkish Airlines.
You think you're doing great, you come back, and then I have friends that have had 3 of them.
Yeah. That was this guy. He had 3 or 4 of them.
Well, it's not going to.
Scar tissue.
The first 2 didn't work, but I think to your point, you have to wake up and keep going. And so it's such a cool example of how powerful this new therapy that we were kind of bringing into our aesthetics world really is. And I think people they're nervous about it. Obviously, legally, there's all these things, but you're doing it ethically by the book.
Yes.
There are ways to do it successfully, and I love this because they're coming into the practice constantly for this. Like they're coming in all the time. They're getting a result. They're doing the laser. They're doing the buy-up of more things. It's not like you're just doing a microdermabrasion at 100. It's something substantial for you, and they're getting a great result. And their products are really good. Tuscany, shout out to Tuscany, they have awesome products. And they're constantly innovating with new things. What's coming down the pipeline? Like, what are you seeing looking at this? Because you do get a first look, I'm sure, at many things. What's next in that whole polynucleotide world? What can we look for next that's coming out?
I think NTCF is coming here. It's supposed to be coming here soon. So Shino has done lots of studies with that, and I've seen a lot of things with NTCF. So I think that's the next thing coming. I heard it through the grapevine that it's about to be launched, but I don't know. I hope.
What do we do with that?
Well, here it depends on the FDA. Honestly, I know
what
what they're
doing.
doing. Yeah, I know what we're doing in Barcelona. I know what we're doing in Korea. I was supposed to go to Korea Monday, and I had to cancel that trip. I'm so sad, but I'm supposed to be going to Barcelona in January, hopefully. So I hope I get to play with it. I'll get to play with it differently there than here. But
I was at a dinner with Shino 2 or 3 years ago, and he was talking about PDRN, NCPR.
NCPR, which is kind of like an NTCF, kind of same version, a little different, but kind of same concept.
Well, he was telling us that he had been to Brazil and was doing it there. It was not in the United States. Do not quote that. He was in Brazil doing it and had some friends as well. And he was showing us the results they'd had from the case study. And he was just like, Shino's rarely blown away. He was like blown away with this. And then we were just talking about it. And he's like, this has to come here. Like, it has to come here. And then we're starting to see this like trickle in over the course of the last few years. And it is mesmerizing. Even the case he presented last year with the one who had the neck issue, I think she had like almost like a necrosis, like a giant part of her neck just kind of gone. And he restored the whole thing and using all these peptides and things. It just shows you that this is, if we can think about exosomes messaging to our skin or to our muscles or to our fat or to our collagen to regrow, rebuild, whatever, if that's really possible, imagine what we can do.
I know.
It's shocking.
I've learned so much off of him throughout the years, but especially the last couple of years working with him with Tuscany. Every time I listen to him, he just makes more and more sense about like what he's done, what he's bringing over, and why it's working. And he's done the studies. He's got the publications, and it does work. And that's why we are the way we are in aesthetics now, because he's brought these things over and he's proven that it works. And so we wouldn't be this advanced without Shino.
Yeah, I think about that with even threads. You had Scott, you had Rajan, you had some of these guys who are just like, we'll go Wild Wild West and figure it out. And I think even for some of the products that we have in other countries that people go over and they train with them. I launched a few products with Galderma. They've been in Europe for 10 years. But somebody somewhere went and looked at it and said, this would be great in the U.S. Like, let's do it. It does take a bit of, you got to go overseas. Like, I'm a huge believer, if you're in this business, you must leave the U.S. because we have nothing here and go travel to places like Brazil, Barcelona, to Korea, because everything there, first of all, is legal. It's all legal. Like, some things shouldn't be, but it all is legal. But you can see some really cool examples of just new, innovative things that will eventually come here and prepare for it. Get your head about you, what's going to happen, and
And I actually stopped doing threads for quite a few years, and then Scott actually was the one who kind of got me into doing threads again, because I was doing 2004. They had a permanent thread that was barbed, and they were barbaric. So plastic surgeon and I in Florida were putting them in, and it was horrible. We had to remove them. It was painful. I was like, what are we doing? And so I stopped doing them. And then I played with a few other threads on the market, and they just weren't working out. They were snapping, and I was just having such a hard time with them. I'm like, what? I was discouraged. And then I went to one of the first Top 100 conference that they had here in Sarasota a few years ago, and I met Scott. And Scott was up there talking about threads, and I was like,
and he's so passionate.
Let me try these. And so then I said, okay. So then he was having a course in Tennessee. So I showed up and I went, and Dr. Rosenthal was there, and a few other really great, amazing providers that I love and look up to. And I got my hands in, and the first one I worked with, I went over to Scott, and he had me hands on, and then I went to Jeffrey Rosenthal. And I was like, let me go to the plastic surgeon, because that was my world. And Jeffrey and I just worked, and I was like, okay, this is great. I got it. So I went back to the practice. I took all my friends. I'm like, you're all getting threads. And so I ordered a bunch of threads. I paid for them because I needed to practice. I'm like, you don't have to pay for them. I just want to make sure that the feel is right before I do patients, because if you guys get mad at me, it's not as bad as a patient. And I did. I took them all in, and I did their threads, and I just had really good results. And then I started playing with brows more. I actually didn't do brows up until a few years ago. And then I started doing brows, and I had such a good result. Now I do mostly brows. People come in for brows more than anything else. They'll do their whole face, but like, can we start with brows and then go to the face? I'm like, okay.
I know you got me jumping.
Because I know you're going to be like loving the brows.
I want my brows. Well, but you train people all the time with threads. Obviously, you led the course here this year. What is the one thing or two things that hold people back from getting good at it? If they come to the course, spend the money, they do hands-on. Is it that they're scared to go back and actually do it, or they can't quite master it and they need more training and it's not enough training?
I think both. I think threads isn't something you could just go to one training and do and be good at. You have to go to multiple. And even with the one after I went to Chattanooga, I went to the Dolce symposiums. I went to the X classes that Benev was having, and they would have their trainings. And I literally just went around to every provider and just like watched everybody's techniques. And then I made my own techniques, and I changed them all the time. And I use different techniques on different patients depending on their skin laxity. But I think it's just consistency. And I change things around all the time. So what I was doing 6 months ago, I'm not necessarily doing right now. Because I'll watch things and I see it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this and see if I can
love
perfect
that.
this.
Where do you get these ideas? Because I feel confident it's not Instagram or TikTok. Where do you get your ideas of how you want to innovate your practice?
Showing up to the conferences. Showing up to all of them. Not all of them, but the ones that...
You do go to a lot of them.
Yeah, I used to go to a lot more. The last 2 years I've been speaking at a lot. When I started at Next, I was so nervous on stage that first time because I'm more of a trainer, and you get up on stage and you're just like, oh, you have all these eyes looking at you. But I'm getting more comfortable at that, but when it comes to training, I'm just, that's my niche. It was more the small places, like Dolce, and you go to Dolce Symposium and you go to all the smaller classes, but there's like 5 to 10 providers that are doing it, and you have all these. You're not just looking at one person doing techniques. You're looking at all these different. And if you can get in there and get hands-on, you have to go to the hands-on trainings.
I mean, Scott's not sponsoring this, but Dolce is awesome. The symposiums.
They are.
Shout out to Scott. They are incredible. And he has people like you who come and do it, and you can watch and train alongside somebody. I mean, he always says hands-on tissue, HOT.
Yep.
And I agree with that. Theoretical lecture is great. I think from a business standpoint, you have to have a lecture because we don't have really a hands-on in many cases, but you can't replace getting in there and like touching a patient. It's like the cadaver lab thing. You just got to go do it.
You got to go do it. But you need the cadaver. I'm a firm believer in cadaver. If you haven't been in surgery, you have to have the cadaver because you don't know there's ultrasound, but not everybody has an ultrasound.
And they're hard to use.
They're hard to use.
I've been to a lot of classes and I can't figure it out.
Well, it breaks my sterility, first of all. I can't have an ultrasound and a thread. You have to know your anatomy. If there's a complication, I have friends who have ultrasounds. I don't do filler where I can get in trouble most of the times. And if I run into a complication, I can go to 2 of my friends' offices and use their ultrasounds.
Well, that brings me to my last question about surgery is, I'm a big advocate that if you've never seen it, you should go make friends with this plastic surgeon and go to their OR. Go watch it, go see it. Because I do think, having come from a different industry into this one and seeing a lot of these things, it's a different world. And just the way that, I think even the sterility part of it, the technique, all of that, how deliberate everything is to keep it clean and infection-free. And we sometimes in a practice, we're going fast and we're loose and we don't always think about that. And I think you were raised with that, so that's kind of how you operate.
Yeah.
But I do think if you don't have access today, phone a friend, find someone that you can go to their OR and watch, because I think that your perspective on threads, on all of this, is so much different when you've been in the face and not just on top of the face.
And a lot of plastic surgeons, especially like Rourke's office, they're so great. If a student calls and says, hey, I'm thinking I want to be a nurse, or I am a nurse and I'm thinking about this, can I shadow? They are so welcoming with, hey, yes, please come in. Like, you can, you have to sit back there. The nurse will tell you where to do it. But, and then occasionally they're like, okay, we'll get you sterile. You can come closer, but just don't touch things. They're so good with that. So they can, give these nurses the knowledge of, hey, do I want to do something like this too and learn this way? And this is beneficial to my practice. If I can come and scrub in a little bit and learn sterile technique, why not? If they want to do threads and they have that education.
Well, and we want to be medical. I always say we're a medical specialty, then go be medical.
Yes.
Okay, last series of questions here, because you are a GLP-1 queen. We talked about early on in this GLP-1 world for me about menopause.
Yes.
And it stuck in my mind. You're like, it makes menopause a little bit less intense because I'm in the perimenopause phase. What do you know about that? Tell us what you know, because I think the peptide revolution is changing women's lives.
It's amazing.
Tell us what we ought to know.
So when I first started doing GLP-1s, I, obviously I'm, I was
Tiny.
in my 40s, and I had gained about 15, almost 20 pounds. And I was my first little guinea pig. And I also had a lot of women my age. I'm 52 now, but my age at that time, and they were going through perimenopause or menopause. And not only was everybody losing the weight, but then their menopause symptoms were kind of going away. And I was like, hey, well, wait a minute. So then, of course, I go down a rabbit hole, and I, go and talk to a lot of my friends, like, Joelle Lieberman. I actually go and I listen to her a lot when she's talking about this stuff. And then my friend Rahi in California, she knows a lot about peptides and menopause. So I started going down the train about different types of peptides and just reading and doing my research. And then of course, I was playing myself first. I'm like, does this work? Does this work? And when I start to put the patients on them, I just constantly get their feedback and what their symptoms are, and we monitor their blood. And what their OBGYNs were saying and doing wasn't working. And then what we were doing with peptides was working. So it's a world that is still so far out there for me, and there's so much more that I still have to learn. But over the past 5 years, my world's changed and my practice has changed over it. And me too. My doctor's like, sure, you went through you definitely went through full menopause. And he's like, whoa, you haven't gone through menopause yet. And I'm like, no, I don't have any symptoms. I don't have hot flashes. I'm sleeping fine at night. But then there's estrogen, and things that we lack. And so GLP-1s and peptides, we're actually able to get our hormones naturally regulated than taking a synthetic hormone. So that's, and these are kind of synthetic, but meaning like a pill. We don't have to take a pill every day. So we're replacing them with things like Sermalorin, and there's a couple other ones on the market that I'm on, but it's regulating just women in general. And their skin is staying thicker because the first thing that happens is their skin thins out. So they're not having that side effect from, just not being on anything or just being on estrogen and progesterone. They're taking copper peptides, things that can help with collagen stimulation. So all these things that happen to us when we're on the menopause train aren't happening anymore. We're again, just like our skin with these polymicronutrients, it's going the opposite way, and we're going reversal on it. So we're feeling better, and our bodies are feeling better. I don't know how many you're on, or if you're on any, or just on one, but a GLP-1 or 2 or 3 in general makes us feel better.
My healthcare provider has me on a GLP-1. Yes, I'm on a GLP-1, mainly because it makes me feel better. I mean, I'm not by any means heavy.
I think you're on a 2.
I don't.
Yeah, I think you're on 2.
I think I'm on 1. Am I on?
2 is better than 1.
I might be. Well,
2 is better than 1.
I don't know what Dana has.
That's why she has this pretty curve to her body right now.
But it's funny because I was on a different version of this before, and I got so skinny. I was like just skin on bone. I looked terrible.
Yeah.
Now, I even texted her, I was like, I'm not losing any weight. But I looked at my muscle mass. I'm like, I've got muscles, more than normal. I've got a butt again.
Yep.
But over the summer last year, I looked like I was literally a deflated balloon. Now I got an ass.
And that's why, because the 1 will just kind of deplete you and everything. A 2, we get our muscle tone back. I'm on a 3 now. And it's amazing. I went from a flabby jack butt to now I got, my husband's like, oh, it's back. Okay, I can see it again. Hello there.
I'm like, I said, Dana, none of my clothes are fitting. She's like, well, I don't know what's going on.
I'm like, but you look beautiful.
Well, I realize it's because I've got a butt and some hamstrings now.
Yeah,
but I think I'm on creatine, which I've never taken. We had a CrossFit gym. I've done the whole workout thing. I've never taken creatine in my life, but I don't sleep. And so the creatine's been a significant help for me. I'm doing NAD, all these things that we didn't have before. And I do think for women today in this world, if someone said, I'm not going to do any more aesthetics ever again, you still have an entire business you could run with all these things that we're finding out. Because my mother suffered through menopause, through all of it. I mean, if you were 45 in 1990, your life just sucked, period. Now, if you're 45, you're like, you got a great sex life, your hair's growing, your skin's looking, it's a different world. And I think that we've built this entire new, sort of like a nucleus of I don't know, innovation and aesthetics that we've never had before, that now, if you latch onto this and you understand it and you go do the research, can be, I hate to say a gold mine, but also a gold mine for your patient. I mean, and Joelle, you mentioned Joelle Lehman, she's an OBGYN by trade.
Yeah,
and she's still learning things every day. She's like, this is not what you learn at all when you're an OBGYN. This is like a whole different world. And watching her go all into it and learn and have so many cool ideas and innovations, it's just a cool time to be alive. And I think that there is a part of this in the practice where patients won't keep coming to you for just toxins. Like at some point, it's a commodity. You can get it anywhere.
Commodity, yeah.
But if you're going to make my skin look great, I'm going to feel great, I'm going to be looking muscular, I'm feeling good, now I'm tied to you at a much deeper emotional state than just, I don't have wrinkles anymore. So I think it's a big deal. I think if you're not on that wagon, you should be. And do you do trainings in your office?
I do.
Okay, how do we get a hold of you if we want to come train with you and learn from you?
So at the Derm
Call
Lounge,
Aidan.
you can call, yeah, you call the Med Spa, the Derm Lounge, and yeah, the staff will coordinate the trainings at the office.
Yeah, you just had a big Ebolus event, I think, recently, didn't you?
Yeah, and we have another one in the office. Actually, Alexis Bowen is coming, and she's doing one in our office on November 5th. They're doing Evolise Academy there.
I must come bust up that
I have
party.
to see patients all day that day, but I'll be there. But she's going to do the trainings, and she's amazing. I'm glad they're using my space. I think she has a really big outcome with this one. We had a really good outcome last time too.
She's awesome. They
She's
just do a great
amazing.
event
Yeah,
anyway.
she's just amazing.
But yes, if you're local to DFW, look into that. But I think, from outside looking in, your practice is gorgeous. Your
Thank
family
you.
just is precious and working together. I love that you guys are all one big happy family. You have great outcomes. You're winning awards. You're on podiums. Life is good.
Yeah,
We're all
I'm
surviving
blessed.
here.
Very blessed.
And I think you're right. The diff is coming, and
Yeah.
we'll come out of it. And
We're coming out of it. It's I noticed like the next few weeks are starting that little curve is coming up again.
it's
And
Q4, thank God.
It is Q4. I don't think this Q4 is going to be as good as other Q4s, but I think we'll get back up there.
But there's a part of it when
seen-
you've been here long enough that you know.
The trends.
I mean, if you've lived through
We
2008,
freak out like, oh my God, it's the world's
if
ending.
you
And
owned a
then,
business during 2008 and during COVID, you can
Yes,
survive
you can
this.
survive
Trust me,
this one.
You'll be just fine.
yes, we
At
didn't
least
know if
people are
our doors
coming
were
in.
going to open up back in COVID, so at least our doors are all open. Well, except for the 10 that just closed in Dallas, that made me sad. But
Well, reach out to their patients with
yeah,
a postcard.
yeah,
Dear patient.
exactly.
That's when you make friends with those injectors say, send them all to me.
send more to me. I know. I'm looking to hire a good injector. So
Well, if you guys know anybody,
yes, anybody.
send them over to the Derm Lounge. Well,
Please.
tell us how to find you on Instagram as well.
So we have two. So I'm at Botox Barbie Dana, and then at the Derm Lounge Med Spa is the Med Spa Instagram page.
So get a hold of her. She's awesome. Go see her. Go see her beautiful practice. And with that, we're going to sign off. But thank you for coming in
Thank you
today.
for having
being our
me.
inaugural guest in our studio.
I love it. I'm the first guest
I
here.
know. You have Chris in our studio.
It's beautiful.
But I love you dearly and think that you're just
I
the
love
best.
you.
So
Thank you.
I'm glad you're in our backyard and you can be here with us.
I
And
know.
keep me
I'll
skinny.
come
and
by. I'll
wrinkle-free.
come by whenever I'm like driving by to say hi.
Well, for all the rest of you, we'll see you next time on For the Record. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of For the Record. This podcast is not intended to provide legal or medical advice. It's for entertainment, education, and information purposes only. For more information on this week's guest or to get started with Aesthetic Record, email us at info@aestheticrecord.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more fresh perspectives on disrupting the status quo and surviving in the aesthetics industry.